Today is 17th of August 2026, and as usually we are live from Dubai International. Dubai, 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 Dubai. Dubai, Dubai, Dubai. So we're just starting our live today. The weather is very fair, very good, very nice today. Last 2 days were high level of humidity, but today is no humidity. So if there is no humidity in the night, there is no problem. Only the high level of humidity is making problem always. Anyway, we are just starting to record our live on YouTube. So the first news we are going to read from Business Insider Africa. It's the Africa's richest king, and his kingdom celebrates 47 years since securing a major territorial victory for the Gold River. Morocco is currently celebrating a major national milestone, marking 47 years since the recovery of Oud al-Zahab, which means river of gold in Arabic. This strategic area serves as the southernmost region and the province located within the disputed territory of Western Sahara. The anniversary commemorates August 14, 1979, when the territory officially returned to Moroccan rule following the withdrawal of Mauritanian forces. A history returned to southern territory. The journey to reclaiming this southernmost region began after Spanish colonial rule ended in 1975, which initially left the territory divided between Morocco and Mauritanian administrations. On August 14, 1979, tribal leaders and representatives from Oud al-Zahab traveled to the capital city of Rabat to formally pledge their loyalty to the late King Hassan II. Morocco World News reported that during this emotional ceremony, the king welcomed the delegation back to what he described as their homeland and promised to protect the region's safety while fostering its future growth. So this is the news from Morocco. This independence movement has been adamantly backed by neighboring Algeria, which provides the Polisario Front with military aid and bases for its operations. Although a United Nations brokered ceasefire was reached in 1991, a planned referendum for self-determination has remained stalled for decades due to disagreement over voter eligibility. Morocco's victories and a legacy of leadership. Let's go to the news from Palestine. Pakistan on the horn of dilemma. There's too much propaganda news from Indian media. They're always making fake news and propaganda news. Let's see the official news from, what is this? Let's see the official news from Palestine. We only read the official news because there's too much fake news, scam news these days, rumors. So we don't believe in propaganda or fake news. We are just going through the Khaleej Times official newspaper from Dubai and UAE. It says, latest news, the nonsense of Trump is going on. I always say that the Trump nonsense is going on. The world is suffering due to the Trump nonsense and Netanyahu nonsense. So Trump threatens to strike Oman if they get in way of Hormuz. You can imagine the Trump nonsense. Netanyahu billboard urges voters to back him ahead of Israel election. The photos below show a billboard by Netanyahu Likud party in Tel Aviv featuring Iran's supreme leader Mustafa Khamenei, New York City Mayor Zahran Mamdani, Turkey President Tayyip Erdogan, and Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem. The Hebrew message read, "They want Netanyahu to lose, don't let them win." Another nonsense, Netanyahu and Trump. The world is suffering due to the Trump and Netanyahu nonsense. The billboard comes as Netanyahu faces growing criticism over the spillover from the war with Iran and Hezbollah's involvement ahead of Israel's elections. Stocks lower as Hormuz concerns and high oil prices persist. Iran's rulers wary of more economic pain unrest if US tightens pressure. As Iran projects resilience in its war with US, its leaders are concerned that the threat of further economic punishment by Trump could deepen hardships, reignite unrest, and further erode Islamic Republic's legitimacy. The US President Trump vowed on Friday to hit Iran and hard economically, a day after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Washington would impose measures on Tehran that have never been seen before as early as next week. Washington has not said what those measures will entail. For all the bravado of Iran's leaders after holding out in nearly 6 months of conflict and effectively closing the Strait of Hormuz, a vital global oil supply route, they face mounting pressure at home that could result in nationwide unrest, according to the Iranian officials. Israel flags on Lebanon road violate UN resolution. Israel flags planted on a main coastal highway in southern Lebanon are a violation of UN Security Council resolution. The UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon said on Monday, Israel military invaded a swathe of southern Lebanon during a war with Hezbollah earlier this year. So, southern Lebanon during a war with Hezbollah earlier this year, establishing a self-declared security zone, it says aimed to shield northern Israel from attacks by the Iran-backed groups. A video posted on Sunday by Israel's Channel 12 News journalist Amit Segal showed Israeli flags flying along the Nakora Tire Coastal Road, a primary artery for southern Lebanon and a route used by UN interim forces in Lebanon. Pentagon Inc.'s Tomahawk deal made reports of missile shotgun. The Pentagon announced a $22.9 billion contract with Raytheon on Monday for Tomahawk missile. So, the Tomahawk missiles amid reports of a shortfall due to the war with Iran, according to AFP. Acting U.S. Navy Secretary Hong Kyo said the contract will accelerate Tomahawk missile delivery to our flagship warfighters at unprecedented speed. U.S.-Iran ceasefire deadline approaches with no deal in sight. Stock lower. U.S.-Iran deal deadline drives. The world is suffering due to this nonsense of Trump and Netanyahu. Oman says oil spill affects 12-kilometer beaches in 12-kilometer beaches in Ras Madraka. Dubai rider fined Dirham 4,000, license suspended. Why is giving me the previous news? Let's see the latest news from today. So watch, Dubai bus tanker dumping vast wastewater illegal. Oman battles weather and other complications while oil spill hits Oman shores Bad weather complicates salvage efforts, official says. An Omani official said on Monday that rescue and containment efforts to address the spill from a tanker which ran aground off the Sultanate shore are ongoing amid extremely challenging weather conditions. The slick that resulted from the grounding of the Caroline Benzingi oil tankers on June 30 at Al Halaniyat Island affected around 12 kilometers of beaches in the Sultanate. Oman's state news agency reported that with wind speeds in the area where the salvage efforts are taking place can reach around 40 knots at times and sea waves rise to approximately 4 meters, making it extremely difficult and complex to approach the vessel by sea or air. Authorities in Oman have coordinated with risk management firm AFRiCA to import and prepare pollution control materials and equipment to contain the spread of the oil spill. The British company will send rubber booms, response equipment and materials, and chemical dispersants. The Omani State News Agency cited the officials saying this also includes providing a specialized vessel to transport and deploy the equipment and materials at the incident site. Director General of Maritime Affairs at the Ministry of Transport, Communication and Information Technology, sir. He explained that the challenging weather conditions during the Kharif season, accompanied by strong winds and high waves, have created exceptional technical and operational challenges, making it extremely difficult to safely approach the vessel. In addition to this, the waters surrounding the vessel's grounding site are shallow and rocky, while accurate marine and hydrographic data to determine depth and safe approach routes are limited. Al-Rawahi stressed that this posed an additional challenge for support vessels, which require a high degree of precision when operating near the grounded vessel to ensure safety. Accordingly, bringing rescue vessels and marine equipment close to the incident site under the current conditions pose operational and navigational risk, prompting authorities to explore alternative means of reaching the vessel and supporting the teams working on board. He also noted that oil and seawater on the vessels deck, combined with strong wave and winds, have made some work areas slippery and unsafe. In addition, the vessel has no reliable operational power source to run the equipment required for the rescue operation. Under these circumstances, cargo transfer or intense rescue operations cannot begin until minimum safety requirements are met and work areas on board are secured. The current priority is to secure a suitable and safe working environment for the technical teams by cleaning and preparing work areas, conducting safety checks and gas and oxygen measurements, identifying suitable locations for installing equipment. This also includes preparing and transporting electrical generators, technical equipment, and necessary rescue equipment to enable the teams to carry out subsequent operations. Oil spill containment efforts. In parallel with securing the working environment, the technical teams are assessing and implementing possible solutions to limit the continued spill and maintain the stability of the vessel and its cargo as far as possible. One of the technical options being considered is the transfer of oil from damaged tanks to intact and safe tanks within the vessel when its condition and safety requirement permit, with the aim of reducing the amount of oil at risk of spilling and mitigating the pressure and risk associated with the damaged tanks. Al-Rahi said that this operation requires the installation of power equipment, pumps, and supporting systems, along with continuous checks of the vessel stability, the integrity of the tanks, and operating conditions before any transfer can take place. He added that marine and hydrographic surveys are being conducted in the areas surrounding the vessel and along potential approach routes to provide accurate data on weather, water depth, seabed conditions, and navigational hazards, and to identify safe routes and locations that rescue and support vessels can use during the next stages. What actually happened to Caroline B. Zangi? On June 30, the Caroline B. Zangi tanker carrying estimated 800,000 barrels of Russian oil and under international sanctions ran aground off Oman's shores. Its first reported difficulties of Yemen on June 8 after what maritime sources said appeared to be a blast. Kore, CEO of Maritime Security Group, said that damage visible in an image that Embry release of the grounded vessel showed burn marks indicating a fire or explosion aboard, but that it was not immediately possible to determine what caused it. No party has claimed an attack, but the vessel was navigating two separate war zones its journey from Russia to India. In April, it sailed from the Russian port of on the Black Sea, a flashpoint in the Russian-Ukraine war. Ukraine has carried out assaults on what is known as the shadow fleet of aging vessels used to carry Russian oil. The Caroline Bezinge, which is part of the shadow fleet, passed through the Suez Canal at the end of May. Ship tracking data shows it then sailed past Yemen, where the Iran-aligned Houthi militants have entered a vital regional war between the US, Israel, and Iran. Let's see the next news. India's PM Modi BJP replaces social media head weeks after. BJP and Modi is also depending on social media, fake media, propaganda news, fake news, scams. That's why it's called Godi media. Social media and national media is heavily corrupted, heavily paid to praise the BJP, to flare the divisions between Hindu and Muslims, and spread the haters. So India's PM Modi BJP replaced social media head weeks after youth protests. Indian PM Modi BJP replaced its social media head on Monday as part of an organizational reshuffle. The party said weeks after youth-led protests amplified through social media posts the resignation of the education minister. The reshuffle is the first by new BJP President Nitin Nabin, who took charge in January and at 45 is the youngest party chief, a generational shift seen as part of the BJP's efforts to retain young voters. Social media head Amit Malviya, who held the post since 2015, was replaced by Deepak Mashke. So almost 11 years. He was the social media head for almost 11 years. Social media head Amit Malviya, what is this? Who held the post since 2015 was replaced by Deepak Mashke. The BJP said in a statement it did not give any details about Mashke's previous role, but his LinkedIn profile said he had served as a party spokesperson and head of its information technology cell in central India. It said nothing further about its role. I am confident that under this leadership, the BJP's digital communication will achieve newer milestones and continue to shape India's public discourse with conviction creativity, and clarity, Malviya said on X, referring to Mashke and his team. Naveen did not specify the reason for the change or what the team would do differently under Mashke's leadership, but referring to the broader reshuffle, said it would further strengthen the organization and give it new momentum. The reshuffle comes weeks after tens of thousands of people staged protests in New Delhi and other cities to demand the resignation of the Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan over the leak of question papers for a National Medical College entrance exam. Pradhan resigned on July 25. The protest was spearheaded by the self-named Cockroach Janata Party that was born as a satirical platform on social media in May and went viral within days, amassing 15 million followers in less than a week. The BJP, in comparison, had fewer than 9 million followers. They got 15 million followers in 1 week, and the BJP had less than 9 million followers. Social media becomes a major rallying point for the largely Gen Z protesters who use it to mock Modi and his government through raps, songs, and videos on platforms long harnessed by the BJP to communicate with supporters and share political messaging. So they just rely on the social media and Modi media and Godi media. Anyway, the next news is Hadrel, cases in which a passenger can be asked to leave train station. Okay, let's see this news. This is important. We are gonna explore the Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwain, all these Emirates. Very soon after the train will be linked with Dubai. So it says that Etihad Railway is a mega project that is meant to connect the 7 Emirates and make residents and tourist communities here. Is gearing up to add more stations to its network next month with the opening of Al Yalai station in Dubai. As part of this expansion and further scheduled addition to the system, the Etihad Rail company has laid out a passenger charter that clearly mentions guidelines for passengers to follow and a list of penalties and fines in case of violation. To ensure passengers' safety, security, and their compliance with the charter, Etihad Rail operators conduct random security checks at stations. In certain cases, the Etihad Rail operators are authorized to ask a passenger to leave the train or station immediately, for instance, when playing audio on board Etihad Rail trains. Wow. When playing audio on board Etihad Rail trains, passengers are required to keep the volume at a reasonable level so as not to disturb those around them. So no high level of audio is allowed. Sometimes lights make problem. Next is Etihad Rail personnel may ask those who play the audio loudly to disembark from the train and at the next station if they cause excessive noise or disturbance. They may also ask them to stop using their electronic device, use headphones, reduce the volume. In addition to this, if an authorized person reasonably believes that a passenger is unfit to enter or remain in the station or train as a result of being in a state of intoxication or has intoxicating liquor, they may ask the passenger to leave immediately. Operators may also prevent this passenger from entering or remaining until they are satisfied the passenger no longer has intoxicating liquor or is no longer an unfit condition. Also, in the reasonable view of an authorized Etihad Rail person, a passenger is in unfit or improper condition, or the passenger's clothing may soil or damage any part of Etihad Rail property or the property of or clothing of another person, the passenger may be asked to leave. Your clothing should be clean and clear. No soil, no dirty. Generally, violating Third Rail's passengers' code of conduct may invoke such a penalty. The Third Rail Passengers Code of Conduct. Here are the main points in the Third Rail Passengers Code of Conduct. Follow signs and staff instructions. Join the back of the queue and do not queue jump. Dress modestly and appropriately. Transparent, revealing, or offensive clothing is prohibited. Transparent, revealing, or offensive clothing is prohibited. Do not bring items that could threaten, annoy, soil, damage, or endanger people, property, or the railway. Passengers must immediately remove any non-compliant item when inspected and may have to cover related costs. Smoking, vaping, and carrying lit matches, lighters, or other burning items are prohibited in compulsory ticket areas, except designated smoking areas. Possessing, consuming, or dealing in controlled substances or narcotics is prohibited. Prohibited items are banned, while restricted items are allowed only if they meet the applicable requirements. Intoxicated or unfit passengers cannot enter or remain at station or on trains. Where alcohol is prohibited on a service, passengers cannot bring it on board. Abusive, threatening, obscene, offensive, harassing, intimidating, or disruptive behavior is prohibited. That's good. Very good rules. Do not interfere with train doors, misuse alarm systems, ignore safety instructions, or otherwise endanger passengers or staff. Passengers must not endanger public health, including by traveling while carrying a communicable disease. Do not cause disturbance, annoyance, or inconvenience to other passengers, staff, or authorized personnel. Selling, advertising, oh my god, that's very important. Selling, advertising, or distributing goods or services, as well as surveying, bagging, or canvassing, requires prior written permission. Do not damage, soil, deface, vandalize, or misuse trains, equipment, furniture, or facilities. Passengers may be charged for resulting cleaning, repair, or replacement costs. Do not photograph, film, or record people without their express consent. Violations may result in liability for related claims. Commercial photography, filming, or recording requires prior written authorization. Littering and spitting are prohibited. Consume food and beverages only in designated areas and dispose of waste in the provided bins. Strong smelling food or drinks or items likely to spill, stain, or damage the train or other passengers' belongings are prohibited. What happens if a passenger refuses to leave? If a passenger is reasonably believed to be in breach and does not leave when requested, a Third Rail personnel or an authorized person may remove the passenger using reasonable force. This is in addition to any other consequence of breach. Before removing a passenger, a Third Rail personnel or an authorized person will state the nature of the breach in general terms. Can a passenger be banned from access to a Third Rail? Yes. Traveling repeatedly without a valid ticket may result in a refusal of the passenger's access to the Third Rail services. A ticket is considered valid when it displays the correct date, time, and passenger name and has not already been used. What's next? आ गया नमाज पढ़ के So this was the Third Rail rules and regulations. We already recorded half an hour and then now the next half an hour. आ गया नमाज पढ़ के Dubai International Airport introduces new waiting lounge for Uber and Careem users. A new waiting lounge dedicated to Uber and Careem users has been opened in Terminal 3 at Dubai International Airport. The new lounge aims to aim to provide streamlined experience for travelers at the vehicle pickup point at the airport. The lounge has been opened by Uber in partnership with Dubai Airport, in line with the Dubai Civility Committee's efforts to preserve the aesthetic appeal, order, and operational excellence of the Emirate. The improved experience sets the tone for city's high quality experience right from the moment of arrival. Next news is Metro Manila floods. Late class suspensions leave thousands of students stranded. Amihan Mabale was among the thousands of parents stranded by the widespread flooding in Metro Manila's streets on Monday morning. She took to social media to vent her disappointment at the city mayor's late suspension of classes. Late actions have dire consequences, noting school children and their parents were stranded because of late class suspension. The Philippine capital was greeted by heavy rains to start the week, putting its streets under water. Several city executives, however, took their time suspending classes and government work. Their announcements coming after the majority of school children and workers had already left their homes and were out on the streets. The amount of rainfall brought by the southwest monsoon reached 200 mm in only 5 hours on Monday, according to the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration. Manila Mayor made his suspension announcement at 11 a.m. upon recommendation of the Manila City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Department. I am ordering the suspension of all afternoon classes in all levels in public and private schools today, Monday, August 17, effective 12 noon, due to continuing inclement weather brought about by the southwestern monsoon. We can see huge flooding in Manila. Professor D.C. Alvear expressed disappointment on social media, saying he was already near the university where he teaches. Now they are telling us to teach the students they just sent home online. But we are already stranded. Bendilo Street, where Alvear was located, was knee-deep in floodwaters. So this is news from the Manila, Philippines, is under huge storm flooding of water due to monsoon season. UAE becomes first in the world to appear pill to treat non-segmental. Abu Dhabi driver jailed, banned from driving for 3 years after driving again. Abu Dhabi driver gets 6 months in jail, 100,000 fine for driving wrong way. The driver in Abu Dhabi was fined 100,000 and sentenced to a 6-month jail term for driving the wrong way. The Abu Dhabi Judicial Department said the motorist vehicle was also confiscated and his license and his license was also suspended for 3 years. The UAE has strict traffic laws with stringent penalties, including hefty fines and vehicle seizure to ensure compliance. In June 26, an Abu Dhabi motorist was sentenced to 6 months in prison and fined 50,000 after being convicted of reckless driving. In that case, the Abu Dhabi Criminal Court found the motorist swerving several times on the road. Okay, this is local news from Abu Dhabi. Next is Beta. Next news is UAE weather tomorrow. Chance of rain, temperature to reach 45 degrees in Dubai. What is next? Kushner talks with Israel Hamas ends without breakthrough on Trump Gaza plan. Donald Trump's envoy and son-in-law Jared Kushner on Monday wrapped up 2 days of meeting with Israel and Hamas leaders to break a stalemate over the US president's Gaza plan, but no breakthrough appeared imminent as both sides dug in. Kushner met Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel a day after meeting Hamas leader in Egypt to revise the plan, which has stalled as Israel has carried out airstrikes and grabbed more territory in Gaza despite an October ceasefire, while Hamas has also refused to give up its weapons. Trump last month announced that Hamas had agreed to lay down its arms in phases under a 15-point roadmap put forward by his so-called Board of Peace to advance the president's plan as Israel military withdraw from Gaza. Hamas said it agreed to the roadmap, but implementation depends on Israel first meeting its own commitments. And Israel official indicated that there was no breakthrough in the meeting, saying Netanyahu had made it clear the military would not withdraw from a demarcation line set out in October ceasefire and would continue to carry out operation in Gaza as it sees fit, including targeting those who took part in October 7, 2023 attack on Israel that triggered the war. Hamas has demanded Israel adhere to the ceasefire, while both sides have disputed the consequences of how Trump's plan to end the war would be implemented. Over 1,200 Palestinians and 4 Israeli soldiers have been killed in Gaza since October, according to Gaza health officials. There was no immediate comment from the Board of Peace. Two sources said Kushner meeting with Netanyahu lasted several hours. Trump's Board of Peace envoy for Gaza, who is widely seen as leading effort to implement the plan, also attended the meeting, the sources told Reuters. The Israeli official said Netanyahu and Kushner agreed in the meeting that the reconstruction of Gaza would not begin until Hamas was fully disarmed, including the light weapons. In a statement that characterized the meeting as deep and constructive, the Prime Minister's office said that Israel and Board of Peace believe that Gaza disarmament should be prompt and completed before any reconstruction happened. It also said that Netanyahu had agreed with the Board of Peace to establish a working group on disarmament and demilitarization, and another working group that focused on sanitation, clean water, and other public health issues in Gaza. Reconstruction. US and Israel officials have previously said that reconstruction could happen in areas of Gaza under Israeli control or a new Palestinian technocratic government. The Board of Peace has indicated that while rifles would be prohibited, some personal weapons would be permitted under Palestinian law. Netanyahu is facing a tough re-election campaign, and diplomats say it is unlikely Israel's longest-serving leader would make any concessions over Gaza before the October 27 vote. Kushner and were in Israel after meeting with Hamas political leader Khalil al-Hayya in Egypt. It marks Kushner's second known meeting with representatives of Hamas, the Palestinian group designated terrorist movement by the US. This is the news from Gaza, Palestine. Alibaba to sell Lingxi Games in more than $2 billion deal. Big investors hunt for tomorrow's AI winners. Apple makes iPhone X 2018 MacBook Pro obsolete. So we almost complete the main news from Khalij Times. Let's see the Gulf News. Gulf News is another another official newspaper from Dubai and UAE. Gulf News. It says that Iran gives US few weeks ultimatum to meet demands. What is this? Iran says it has reached an understanding with Oman on a route for ships to transit the Strait of Hormuz, with both sides working to finalize details for a joint statement The development comes as the 60-day deadline under the US-Iran deal expires without a clear breakthrough, while Donald Trump has threatened military action against Oman if it obstructs efforts to reach an agreement over the strait and called on Iran to surrender. Follow our live coverage for the latest verified news. Iran gives just few weeks ultimatum to meet demands. Iran has reportedly given the US a few weeks ultimatum to meet its demands, or it will shift to a fully offensive posture and launch a timely and precise military attack, as per Reuters. Iran's demands are $300 billion in reconstruction funds, full release of frozen Iranian assets, lifting of US naval blockade, end to war across all fronts, permanent resolution on the Strait of Hormuz. He emphasized Iran has reportedly decided to shift from a defensive to a fully offensive posture. Hormuz vessel traffic falls nearly 20% as crossing drop. So next is how Mujtaba reshuffled his hardline team for long war. US-Iran war. Key updates for UAE residents. Sheikh Mohammed and Sultan Haitham discuss bilateral ties. Why US-Iran deal collapse? What Tehran plans next? Sohail rises on August 24 as UAE heat begins to ease. We are waiting for Sohail to rise again, rise as soon as possible. It's gonna rise on 24. Dubai seizes tankers and fines them 100,000 for dumping waste. Watch most expensive Falcon of 2026 sells for $346,000. Safety habits for safer summer road trips. What Pakistan's new chipless ID card means for you? Well, let's see this news. Major change. What Pakistan's new chipless ID card means for you? The change, which took effect on August 14, is aimed at making identity verification more practical while reducing Pakistan's reliance on imported technology. Dubai, for millions of Pakistanis, a national identity card is something they carry every day but rarely think about. That could change with a new card that replaces the familiar microchip with something most people already have, a smartphone. The National Database Legislation Authority, NADRA, has introduced a new chipless national identity card featuring a secure QR code, allowing authorities users to verify identity information using a smartphone rather than specialized chip reading equipment. More practical. The change, which took effect on August 14, is aimed at making identity verification more practical while reducing Pakistan's reliance on imported technology. The new card is manufactured locally by the National Security and Printing Company in Karachi according to the NADRA's technical and security specifications. Why was chip removed? Pakistan introduced its chip-based smart national identity card about 14 years ago, but the technology did not deliver its full potential because the infrastructure needed to read the chip was not widely available. In other words, having a chip on the card was only useful if the institution checking it had the right equipment. Yes. The new QR-based system is designed to overcome that problem. The code can be read through a smartphone camera and verified using NADRA's Pak Identity mobile application or authorized for software. That could make identity checks easier at banks, telecom companies, hospitals, police stations, Pakistan Railway, and other authorized institutions. QR code. The QR code will contain relevant identity information along with the cardholder's photograph. Instead of staff manually typing names, addresses, and other details into computer systems, authorized institutions will be able to capture the information digitally. NADRA says this should make data entry more consistent and help reduce errors. The card itself will also carry several features designed to make important information easier to identify. It will display the family number and symbols indicating persons with disabilities, senior citizens, organ donors, and citizen of Pakistan administered Jammu Kashmir. Names and addresses will appear in both Urdu and English. NADRA has also updated the card's visible and covert security features to meet currently security requirements. What it means for the ordinary citizens. The most immediate change is that citizens will not need to depend on a specialized chip reader every time their identity needs to be verified. A smartphone-based system could be particularly useful as Pakistan expands digital access to government, banking, telecom, and other services. It also means that the technology behind the identity card is becoming less dependent on a specialized piece of hardware and more compatible with devices already widely available. However, the new system does not mean existing card holders need to rush to replace their cards. NADRA has said all identity cards already issued will remain valid until their respective expiry dates. The QR-based card is being introduced in phases. Initially, from August 14, it replaces the standard national identity card. From January 2027, the new format is scheduled to be extended to all categories of national identity cards, including the national identity card for overseas Pakistanis and juvenile cards. In the final phase, the Pakistan origin card will also transition to the chipless QR-based format. Local manufacturing. The change is not only about how an identity card is verified, it also reflects Pakistan's push for greater technological self-reliance. The previous system depended on an imported microchip, while the new card uses a QR code and is manufactured domestically by NSPC in Karachi. NADRA says the move is part of its evolution from an organization primarily issuing identity documents into a broader digital trust and verification platform. Its wider plans include national digital identity, a Pak ID digital vault, verifiable credentials, QR-based document verification, and consent-based data sharing. With the Pak ID application having surpassed 18 million downloads, the growing use of smartphones could provide the infrastructure needed to make mobile-based identity verification more practical. What could change next? The QR code may ultimately be less important as a physical piece of plastic than as a gateway to a wider digital identity system. If banks, hospitals, telecom operators, police, and other authorized organizations can reliably verify identity using smartphones and approved software, citizens could face fewer manual checks and less repetitive data entry when accessing services. For now, the transition is gradual. Existing card remain valid while the new QR-based format is being rolled out category by category. That's good news. That's great shift from chip to the QR code. So new chipless ID card is rolled out in Pakistan. Flying into Dubai. Man sentenced to jail, 100,000 fine for drunk driving. What the hell is this? The driver has been sentenced to 6 months in jail and fined 100,000 for driving recklessly against the flow of traffic in Abu Dhabi. Same news we read in the Gulf Khalij Times. Egyptian actor Amar Muhammad Ali dies at 51 after illness. Egyptian actor Amar Muhammad Ali, known for roles in television and film from childhood, died on Monday after years of living with multiple sclerosis, an illness that severely affected his mobility and eventually forced him away from acting. Ashraf Zaki, the head of Egypt's Actors Syndicate, confirmed the death, saying Ali had suffered complications from multiple sclerosis or MS that had significantly affected his health and movement in recent years, Egyptian media reported. Ali's health had deteriorated sharply in the days before his death. His brother Ahmed told the Egyptian newspaper Al-Watan that the actor had become unable to stand or move without assistance and had stopped eating and drinking as condition worsened. His death brings to a close a career that began when he was a child in the mid 1980s and included appearances in a succession of Egyptian film and television dramas. Who was Amar Muhammad Ali? Ali began acting at an early age and became familiar to Egyptian audience through productions including Mr. Karate, Raya and Sakina, Hawa al-Tufa, and Hikaya Magona. He also appeared in Ish Ayamak. What is this? Ish Ayamak alongside the late Egyptian actor Noor al-Sharif and was particularly remembered for playing Shak in the television drama Arabesque opposite the late Salah al-Sadini. His final acting work was the television series Hadaik al-Shaitan in 2006. His worsening health then kept him away from the screen for years. Ali later spoke publicly about the profound effect MS had on his life, saying that disease caused problems with his movement, balance, and vision. After roughly 17 years away from the public eye, he returned to interview and expressed hopes that his health might improve enough for him to act again. The Actors Syndicate later supported him, including by granting him membership at an exceptional pension as a what is multiple salaries. Let's see the next news. Dekombe is Europe's youngest self-made billionaire. 3.5 million visit Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in H1 2026. Dubai upgrades key Alco's road to ease traffic. Watch Indian expats and minister pledge loyalty to UAE. Hayden Pantry's grief after brother's death. Yash breaks down Ramayan rupees 40 billion budget. Emirates NBD launch UAE transition finance framework. Dubai set for 21,000 strong DIHAD 2026. DP World hits key milestone in $800 million Syria port project. Wow. Dubai economic zone reach 96% occupancy. Salama H1 profit jumps. Masdar wind farm moves closer to. Let's see this news. DP World in the Syria. 3 new cranes are expected to increase the Syrian port's cargo capacity. DP World has reached a significant milestone in its $800 million investment program to transform the port of Tartu, completing the delivery of 3 mobile harbor cranes that will strengthen Syria's trade infrastructure and support the country's economic recovery. The 3 cranes are expected to increase the port's cargo handling capacity by approximately 40%, Dubai Media Office announced on Monday. The development comes as the Dubai-based ports and logistics companies expand its investment across its global network despite disruption to trade flows in the Middle East. DP World reported a 13% increase in revenue to $12.7 billion in the first half of 2026, up from $11 billion during the same period last year. The company said last week that growth across its global ports, logistics, and marine
famous one in the world.
business
It's very
helped offset.
famous in TikTok. It's number 1 in the world. If you want to go with
The company said last week that growth across its global ports, logistics, and marine business helped offset lower activity. The company said last week that growth across its global ports, logistics, and marine business helped offset lower activity at Jebel Ali following disruption to regional trade flows. Jebel Ali remains fully operational and suffered no physical damage, DP World said. However, the regional conflict has temporarily reduced vessel traffic through the port. The company has expanded inland connectivity and introduced other measures across its regional network to keep critical cargo moving. DP World plans 2 Fujairah terminals. The terminals will extend the company's UAE Great Gateway network beyond Jebel Ali and provide cargo owners with another route through the country. DP World said the terminals will be part of an integrated supply chain connected to the wider Jebel Ali ecosystem, giving customers more flexibility in moving goods through the UAE. $3 billion investment plan for 2026. DP World invested $1.5 billion across its global portfolio during the first half of 2026 and expects to total capital expenditure to reach about $3 billion for the full year. Investment is being directed toward new capacity and trade infrastructure in markets including the UAE, UK, India, Saudi Arabia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Excluding Jebel Ali, container volumes increased by 6.5% on a like-for-like basis, and adjusted increased by 9.7% with growth across Africa, Americas, Asia Pacific, and Europe, said DP World Group CEO Yuvraj Narayan. DP World Group CEO Yuvraj Narayan. This performance reflects the strength of our global network and our ability to provide cargo owners with efficient end-to-end supply chain solutions. So this is news from DP World. The next news is Galaxy S27 leaks, camera prices, and what to believe. S27, wow. There is competition between Apple and Samsung. Apple iPhone is coming and Galaxy S27 is coming. We are waiting for iPhone 18 and Galaxy S27. We are not gonna buy any new drama. Anyway, the next is Iran gives blah blah blah. Saudi disability rights breaches face 500,000 riyal fine. Saudi disability rights. Believe it or not, farmers reject $26 million AI land offer. What? AI land offer. 15 killed in India hotel blaze and temple stampede. Let's see this news from India, and we are just 2 minutes away from closing our live on YouTube. Dubai, at least 15 people were killed in 2 separate disasters involving Hindu pilgrims in eastern India on Monday, with 8 dying in a hotel fire in West Bengal and 7 in a crowd crash at a temple in neighboring Bihar. The incidents occurred during Sharawan, a sacred month in the Hindu calendar devoted to the worship of Lord Shiva, when temples across India draw large crowds of devotees, particularly on Mondays, Indian media reported. In Bihar, 7 pilgrims were killed and 19 others injured when a stampede broke out at a Ashok Dham temple in Lakhisarari district, where thousands had gathered for prayers. District Magistrate Shailendra Kumar said the panic began after rumors spread that an electric pole had fallen on worshippers inside the temple grounds. The sudden rush caused part of the crowd control barricading to give way, with people falling over one another in the crush. Bihar Chief Minister Samarat Chaudhary called the deaths heart-wrenching and announced the compensation of 400,000 rupees for the family of each person killed. Hours earlier, fire had swept through a 4-story hotel in Tarapiti, West Bengal, a pilgrimage town in Birbhum district. The latest official reports report the death toll from the blaze at 8, with several others injured. The fire began on the ground floor early on Monday while most guests were asleep. Many of those staying at the hotel were pilgrims who had traveled to Tarapit for religious observances. fire crews brought the blaze under control and injured were taken to Ramkurant Government Medical College and Hospital. Police said 43 people were rescued from the building. 5 of the 8 people who died were from Meghalaya, while 3 were from Alipur Dor in West Bengal. 1 person remained in hospital. The precise cause of the blaze was under investigation. Hotel officials said they believed an electrical fault was responsible, but authorities had not established a final cause. Police were also examining whether adequate fire safety measures were in place. We are in the final minute of closing of life. The two disasters renewed scrutiny of safety and religious sites and accommodation used by pilgrims in India, where major festival and holy days can draw enormous crowds into relatively confined spaces. Crowd crashes have repeatedly caused mass casualties during religious gatherings in the country. In January 2025, at least 30 people were killed when crowds surged during the Maha Kumbh festival, one of the world's largest religious gatherings. In one of India's deadliest previous temple disasters, at least 115 people were killed in Madhya Pradesh in 2013 after panic spread among pilgrims who feared that a bridge was collapsing. So finally, we are now closing our live at this time. We have already completed 1 hour recording, as our target is each video at least recording 1 hour. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. See you later on. Maybe we'll have another out session later on.